Welcome to the Pickleball Addiction podcast. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Thaddea Lock. Welcome, Thaddea.
Thank you. Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's very, very wet today outside, so I'm glad I'm indoors, but I've had to venture out a couple of times with my kids, and it's not been pleasant for sure.
No, it's horrible. I've just run out to the shops and got soaked in 5 seconds, so it's definitely not very nice.
Yeah, like it's been heavy. Like I live right by a river, and the river was already flooding the garden like last week, and it just had more rain. It's like, oh my gosh, it's going to get serious because last year
Oh no.
our whole garden was a lake, like literally. And
Oh
so
no.
yeah, I mean our house is a little bit higher up, so I think we're good.
Okay.
But generally, it was like we had literally had swans and ducks and that swimming around
Oh
the garden,
wow.
so, which is pretty cute. So yeah, thanks like once again for like taking the time to come and talk to us on the podcast. So it'd be really good just to many people already know like of you who are in the pickleball world, but it'd be great to hear a little bit about yourself, your background, and just how you got into pickleball.
Yeah, sure. So I started playing pickleball at the end of 2018. I was on holiday in the States, staying with some friends, and they took me down to their local pickleball group, introduced me to their friend Lucy. I played a couple of times while I was over there, and then when I was coming home, Lucy kind of said to me, "You should continue playing when you get back to the UK." And I'd never really heard of pickleball and didn't think that it existed in the UK, but it turns out it did. And when I got home, I kind of just did a Google search of clubs closest to me, um, and found one that at the time Louise Stevens was running. Dropped her an email and just said, "Hey, I've played a few times in the States. I'd love to start playing." She asked me what my level was. I didn't know anything really about pickleball, about levels. So I messaged Lucy, who taught me, and said, "What level am I?" And she said to say I was a 5.0, which again meant nothing to me at the time. So I emailed Lou back and said, "I'm a 5.0. I got taught by my friend Lucy in the States." And she said, "No disrespect, Thaddea, but if you're a 5.0, you'll be the best female player in this country," which I was like, wow, that's a lot of pressure. I've only played 3 times. And then it turns out that she also informed me that Lucy, who had taught me, was Lucy Kovalova, who is one of the best female players in the world. And I thought it was a little bit weird when I was playing with Lucy that she had a paddle that kind of had her name like on, but I didn't really think too much of it, which in hindsight I probably should have. Um, so yeah, had a very amazing introduction to pickleball, got to learn from one of the best players in the world, and then came home, joined Lou's club, met a lot of the players that I still play with today. Louis was one of the first people that I met, and I remember him saying to me, "Oh, let's play tournaments together." And I remember thinking, tournaments? There's tournaments in this? Like, what is this crazy thing? And unfortunately, a couple of months later, I got really sick. I got glandular fever.
Oh,
Um, so I was actually at that time when I started playing pickleball, alongside my full-time job working in tennis events, I was also the hitting partner for Alfie Hewitt, who's our number one men's wheelchair player. He's actually number one in the world now as well. And I was due to go with Alfie to Australian Open, but I got glandular fever the week before literally we were due to go. So I was then really, really ill. I was in bed. I didn't get out of bed for 2 months. Louis' lovely family looked after me as I couldn't do anything for myself. And then I gradually started to get better, and it was way too difficult for me to try and go back to tennis. It was way too intense, too big a court to move around. So pickleball was actually perfect because it gave me something that I could get back into sport with that obviously wasn't overly intense to start off with. So I started going back to some sessions, and at the beginning I could really only manage 10, 20 minutes. And it was really difficult actually going to those sessions and my body just giving up on me, because it was something that I'd never experienced in my life. I'd always been able to push through injury, illness if I was tired. And at that point, there was no pushing through. My body was like, nope, that's enough. And it was difficult for a few sessions. And actually, Suzanne, Rouse, who's on my PPL team, she was there through a lot of that, and she was great. You know, she really encouraged me, and she was like, "Don't worry, Thaddea, you'll get better." And Gradually I got better so about 5 months after getting sick, I played my first pickleball tournament, the Scottish Open, in the summer of 2019, which was really, really fun. I ended up winning the women's singles, the women's doubles, and the mixed doubles, helped by my amazing partners, Louis in the mixed and Faye Plummer in the women's. So that was a pretty good intro to pickleball to get two of the best players as my partners. But I remember between my matches, there was this sofa and I was just lying on the sofa because my body was still so exhausted. Yeah. So I was just really glad to make it to the end of the weekend. But yeah, that was kind of where it all started for me. And then just gradually started playing more tournaments, got to meet more people, and just really loved everything that pickleball was about, the community, the fun, how welcoming it is. And yeah, for me, it was a really great space and a great sport to start to be a bigger part of.
Wow. Didn't expect that kind of story, but yeah, that kind of I've had glandular fever before, and I won't even go into it because mine lasted a long time, and I ended up with a blood infection and all sorts of fun stuff. It's not nice. It's not a nice thing to have at all.
It's not nice. And I think the problem with glandular fever is that you look well, so people kind of think that you're fine because there's no really obvious symptoms other than you just feel completely exhausted. So yeah, it was definitely, it took me about a year to get over properly, and it was definitely a roller coaster of ups and downs.
Yeah. One thing that frustrated me the most, apart from being really sick for a long time, but when I was first ill and they said that at the hospital I had glandular fever, they said to me, "Oh, that's the kissing disease." And as a teenage boy, I was so frustrated because I've not been kissing anybody, and I thought at least that would have been something, But I didn't even have that. But yeah, I didn't even get a kiss for my months and months of illness. But okay, so I might have missed it. Well, Lucy, where did you say that Lucy you met? How did you meet Lucy?
So Lucy is Slovakian, but she's based in Wichita in Kansas because she went and played college tennis at Wichita State University. So I've got friends that are British that live in Wichita. Their daughter is a professional tennis player, so I've known them for a long, long time. And they moved out to Wichita for the dad's job, and they live in Wichita and obviously play tennis, play pickleball. So it just happens that Lucy lives there, they live there, and they're really, really good friends with Lucy. Both the mum and the dad are coached by Lucy for pickleball as well as tennis. And yeah, she's just a really good kind of family friend of theirs. And actually, when I was out in the States recently to play the APPs in Dallas and Atlanta, I went to stay with them in Wichita again at the end of my trip. So got to, again, do a little bit more training with Lucy and spend some time with her and with them. So yeah, just coincidence really that my friends, Wichita, everybody always kind of says, why are you going to Wichita? That's a random place, but I love it there. And actually it's great for pickleball. So they have, obviously Lucy lives there and her partner, Matt Wright, is there. Jay DeVilliers lives there, so I got to play some with him. They've got a girl there who's younger who has recently signed with the PPA Tour, Ling Wei, who I also got to practice with. Pat Smith also lives there, so they have a lot of really good level pickleball players there. So actually this time when I was out there, I got to play with all of them, Lucy, Pat, Jocelyn, Ling Wei. So yeah. It's a great place.
Amazing that was your introduction to pickleball, like just playing with some some players, not knowing it. Yeah, that's amazing.
Very lucky.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, moving on then onto the nationals. Congratulations on your success at the nationals, a gold and two silvers. How'd that go for you?
Thank you. Yeah, really good. Obviously, it was a really long 4 days. We started off with the team competition on the first day, which was an amazing start to the tournament. I couldn't have hoped for a better start to the tournament, kind of both on the court, but also the team camaraderie that we had. And yeah, it was just a great day. And then singles was great. Pei played a great match in the final. She beat me 11-9, I think, in the third. Again, for me, off the back of coming home from the States, there were some things that I know I have to work on in singles to kind of elevate my game. And I think it's a little bit getting my head around, I have to start doing these things in matches, and if it means I lose to start off with, then that's fine, but ultimately it's going to mean I'm a better player in the long term. So I was really happy with my group matches, and then my semi-final against Molly, I really kind of executed what I wanted to work on, and we had a great game, and she's obviously a really tough competitor, so to get a win against her, I was really happy. And then Pei in the final, yeah, I mean, Pei played a near perfect match. She was hitting balls off the line, left, right, and center, and just making my life really difficult. And, I think it's great to have Molly, to have Pei. Really, we can kind of all push each other, especially in women's singles in this country. It's great to see the level of women's singles, getting better and better. And I think, we'll have some great matches in many, many tournaments to come. So yeah, singles was a great day, a long day, a lot of running, but I was really happy kind of with the way I fought on my performances. Women's doubles, we got gold, me and Molly. It's actually only the second time me and Molly have played a tournament together. So we played the Duper team event at English Open together, and again played really, really well. And yeah, I gel really well with Molly on court. I think we play really well together. And we had a great day. Again, I feel like we came out that day and we played pretty near perfect the whole day. The final, we played Pei and Antonella, and the scoreline, it looks pretty comfortable. It's never really reflective looking at the score of how tough it is. But I think me and Molly came out and kind of really executed what we wanted to do in the final. So that was really exciting. And then the mixed doubles day, getting silver with James was great. Again, Pei and Louis played really, really well in the final. I think it was a great final, and a lot of people have, said to me afterwards that's the highest level of mixed doubles that people have seen in this country. So it's great to be a part of. I think there were a lot of learnings that I need to take away from that day in terms of pressure that I put on myself, and sometimes I stand in my own way with that pressure. But again, it's all learning. And I think for the top players as a group, I think the fact that we're all pushing each other and the levels getting higher and higher, I think that's great for us, and it's great for everyone else in pickleball in the UK to see as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, I echo that with that mixed final was something else, and a great end to the weekend actually. But yeah, I mean, it was such a funny match as well because you got pickled in the first game, didn't you? And then you came back and then won the second game, and then the third game, I think they got quite a lead out on you again, and then you guys pulled it back and they had a few match points, but you didn't let them over the line that easily. And yeah, some of the hand battles were ridiculous in that game.
Yeah, it was a great game. And, like I said, I get a lot of people saying to me all the time, Thaddea, you never get nervous. Thaddea, you look like everything's so easy on court. And I think, that match for me was a really tough mental battle. I went into it putting way too much pressure on myself. And the first set I was really struggling, and playing with James is great. He knows me really well as a person. He knows me really well as a pickleball player. So, when I was struggling in that situation, he knows kind of how to be with me to kind of get me to perform better. So, yeah, I think after that first set, it was great to kind of turn it around and win that second set. And, make it a great game for everyone to watch as well, because I think that's really important. You don't want necessarily one-sided finals that aren't good for people to watch. So I was really kind of proud of the fact of how we turned it around in the second set and then made it a battle in the third. But definitely a lot of learnings for me to take away from that match as well. And again, yeah, I think the level was amazing and really showcases how far pickleball has come in this country.
I think with that game, I think as well that first set doesn't really reflect the play either. It just happened, right? Sometimes the points just fall that way, right? You win points but not on your serve, and it kind of happens. But yeah.
And I think, I watch a lot of pickleball, and you see that a lot in pickleball because it's not as long as a tennis match. The matches are quite short, and the momentum swings can be quite big quite quickly. So you'll often see a very one-sided first set followed by a complete turnaround in the second set. So I think again, that's kind of the beauty of pickleball, and it's what makes it exciting, because something that can look really one-sided can suddenly become, a real battle.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, well, yeah, congratulations again. I did watch the old
Thank
singles
you.
match with Pay, and it was, yeah, like she was on epic form for sure. I still haven't watched. I meant to watch your women's doubles, because I was actually playing when you were playing during that time. So I haven't gone back and watched that
Ah,
stream yet, but I will for sure.
okay. Thank you.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously you mentioned that I should say 2 golds and 2 silvers really, if you count the MLP style tournament. So that's obviously you on Team Pickleball Addiction. We had a podcast earlier where we talked to you guys before the event, and yeah, so I mean that was exciting because I was involved for me as well to be my only medal of the weekend, or my only win of the weekend. So I've got to enjoy it in some way, but. Yeah, I mean, have you played with any of the guys that were in the team before, previous to the event? Hi, Mark Mars here. I hope you're enjoying the show. This podcast is sponsored in part by the Pickleball Addiction store and newsletter. To support the show, please check out the Pickleball Addiction store at pickleballaddiction.co, where we stock a wide range of paddles, balls, nets and other accessories. Use coupon code POD10, that's POD10, to get 10% off your first purchase. You can also check out the Pickleball Addiction newsletter at pickleballaddiction.news, where we cover the latest news in pickleball from the UK and around the world. Thanks for your support, and now back to the show.
Elaine I've known since I started pickleball, because she was at the club that Lou ran, but I've never played with her. And then Mark Johnson, again, I've never played on a team with him. I played against him in MLP last year. He was on the team that we played in the final. And Rodri, no, I haven't seen Rodri that many times generally, let alone played with him. So no, it was for me a completely new team, which I think kind of added to the excitement.
Yeah, I think Rodri was a dark horse, wasn't he? Because I think a few people said, to me, it's a surprising pick, because he was the same as you, hadn't really been seen that much. And luckily for us, hadn't really seen it really anybody before, so I was just sort of picking in the dark. Yeah, I mean it worked, because Rodri and you two in particular, you seem to gel really well, like on the court. It seemed to go quite well. So, well, obviously because you went through and did the match and won, but I mean, how do you feel the team gelled?
Do you know, I have kind of been thinking about this since Nationals, and I think with the team events, it's so important how the team gels, and that maybe doesn't play as big a part as the pickleball, but I think that plays a massive part to how successful the team is. And I think, I've been lucky enough I played college tennis in the States, so was part of a team for 4 years. I've played a lot of different team events within pickleball, so I have quite a lot of experience, and I think I know, how important it is to work together as a team, to be encouraging no matter what's happening, because with those team events, sometimes it comes down to rubbers won, sometimes it comes down to points won. So I think you just have to keep fighting every match, and we did that, and we did amazing. I so enjoyed playing with Rodri. He's such a good player, and I just need to convince him to believe in himself a little bit more and believe that he is as good a player, because, with those team events, no one person carries the team. All 4 of you and yourself, the team captain, we're all so important to the success. And, I think that showed. Rodri played amazing all day. Elaine, when I played with her, she was amazing. Mark and Rodri were an incredible team. Mark and Elaine were an incredible team. And I just think we all really kind of supported each other, believed in each other, kind of helped each other out as and when we could. And yeah, somehow we won.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they all seem to complement each other in different ways, but like in some way, they all seem to work. And I think, like you say, it helped because the camaraderie was good. Everybody on the team was such lovely people that I think that really helped, and everybody wanted to help each other to win. So yeah, it was
exactly.
Great. And that was another exciting final, right? With you and Rodri versus Freddie and Hermione.
Yes.
So I think you had to come back from something like six. I think it was the 2014 or something like that at one point, wasn't it? And
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think I think we were down always, like throughout the whole of that last game. And then, yeah, we were down 2015, 2016. And again, I think what I felt so much in the moment, and I was kind of just playing 1 point at a time and not really thinking about the score. And I think kind of being there, being in the moment, not overthinking things, you just kind of start getting points back. And especially with the way MLP works and when the other team is frozen on 20, if you can get a few points back, it suddenly puts a lot of pressure on the other team. And, I think we went back and forth a couple of times. I think me and Rodri had a few match points we didn't win. I think Freddie and Hermione had a few match points they didn't win. And then all of a sudden we'd won, and I still can't quite believe it. But my reaction when we won was like, oh my God, we've won. Yeah. So yeah, it was amazing. And yeah, to be able to win with Rodri and yeah, see him, play amazing against Freddie and Hermione are great players. So to be in that situation and beat them was just really, really amazing.
No, well, there was that full start as well, just a few points earlier, where you thought you'd won, and then it was out.
Yeah.
And I mean, because that can knock. That was the show, because that can really knock you, can't it? That can actually really affect your play, and you could have just lost it there. But you guys just stayed strong.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing happened in the final last year. I remember we were in a dream breaker in the final against Louis' team, and I don't know what the score was, but I remember hitting a shot in the singles against Louis, thinking I'd made it and celebrating, thinking that either we'd won or it had given us match point. And again, the same thing happened. I missed it and it was super close, but it was out. And I kind of celebrated and then had to be like, okay, no, get back in your box.
So you won 2 in a row, haven't you? Two of those in a row? The only player to won 2 in a row?
Yeah. And again, I've been really lucky both years. I've had amazing teams. Last year I didn't win many matches until the finals. So, my team really did carry me through. And in the final, I did a few good things. But yeah, I think I've been really lucky with the people I've played with and had great team captains and had great team camaraderie. And it's worked both years.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. It was great to see. It was great to watch. And I've encouraged several people to watch the mixed final actually that you had at the end of the Nationals game. But yeah, also that final, that was quite fun.
But you managed your stress levels well throughout the day, because it's hard being the team, the team captain that's off court, because you can't affect anything. So you literally just have to sit there and the outcome is out of your hands.
Yeah, I think I did a lot of beats per minute that day without even doing any exercise. So. But no, it was nerve-wracking. It was really nerve-wracking, but it was such fun to be part of. It was great. So we'll move on from the Nationals now. I could talk about it for longer, but we'll go on to spare everybody else. So that's it. Hear us talking about it. But, so you focus now full-time on pickleball. I did mean to talk a little bit about your previous role at Wimbledon. So yeah, can you take us through like what it is that you were doing at Wimbledon before we talk about what you're doing now with pickleball?
Yeah, sure. So I was at Wimbledon for about a year and a half. So I was in the operations team, working as an operations coordinator. So across various different kind of logistical things to do with organizing the championship and then also year-round operations. So I managed the uniform program for probably about 3,000 staff. So Wimbledon take on just over 2,000 temporary staff for championships, but then they also have full-time staff that work year-round at the club, the gardeners, the ground staff, the estate management team. So I managed the uniform program, so everything from planning the uniforms, ordering the uniforms, distributing the uniforms, that kind of thing, which was a massive operation. And then I was really involved in guest services as well. So Wimbledon have had a massive push the last few years to improve their kind of guest experience. I think previously guest experience at Wimbledon has kind of taken care of itself, because everyone is just so excited to be at Wimbledon and it's an amazing place to be. But they really wanted to kind of hone in and and improve that guest experience. And so I was really heavily involved in that, and different things and kind of improvements. The 2 championships that I was there to just make sure guests had a better day. We introduced a guest services team. So we had about 120 staff that we took on temporarily for championships both years. So managed them, which was really fun. And I really like interacting with people. So for me, you know, kind of getting to be involved in guest experience was really fun. And before I worked at Wimbledon, I ran the ATP and WTA event at Eastbourne, the tennis event.
Oh, yeah.
And again, when I was at Eastbourne, I was kind of across everything. It was a smaller event, so we had a smaller team, but we kind of managed everything between us. So I was across everything from looking after the players to ticketing to Wi-Fi to general operational logistics, and customer service and getting involved with the customers was something that I really enjoyed in Eastbourne. So it was amazing to be able to work in that at Wimbledon, which is obviously, you know, one of the kind of main sporting events in the calendar of every sport every year. And just to kind of see Wimbledon standards and the way that they did things was really great. And yeah, Wimbledon is an amazing place to work.
Yeah, so Eastbourne, is that the event they run like a week or 2 before Wimbledon generally? It's on grass court as well. And
Yeah, so it falls the week before Wimbledon, so it clashes with Wimbledon qualifying. But on the women's side, Eastbourne is a WTA 500, so it's the highest level women's event outside of a Grand Slam, and it's a ATP men's 250 event, so not the highest level men's event. But so we would regularly attract probably about 15 of the top 20 women in the world, and then we'd maybe get kind of like 5 to 10 of the top 50 men in the world. So there was a little bit of a discrepancy. But actually, my first year working on Eastbourne, Novak Djokovic won on the men's side. So I got to work with, again, some incredible players across the 5 years that I worked on that event. And yeah, just a great event to go to. It's by the sea. It's like a mini holiday. So Eastbourne will always hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, because they often use it as a warm up, don't they? Or some of the players do for Wimbledon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So now though, you're focusing full time on pickleball. Is that right?
Yes. So yeah, I made the decision a few months ago to move into the pickleball space full time. I was really struggling to kind of juggle having my full-time job at Wimbledon with everything that was happening in pickleball, and kind of made the decision that actually I wanted to kind of focus a little bit more on playing and see where I could get to with my level, because I haven't up until this point really practiced very much. I've been maybe playing once or twice a week just due to, you know, time constraints and everything else going on. So wanted to have a little bit of more of a focus on playing, getting fitter physically, practicing more to see where I could get to level wise. And then for me, kind of growing the sport is so important. So getting more involved in the coaching side, running, you know, clinics, and also the ambassador side of the sport. So I signed obviously with Skechers a few months ago. So there's also a lot of things happening in that space. And, you know, day to day, I'm getting a lot of different kind of opportunities and get to be across a lot of really exciting things that are happening in pickleball. So yeah, I thought I would take a chance and see, you know, try moving into the space full time and see how it goes.
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I mean, we also had a trip over to America, right, recently to do the APP tour before the nationals.
So I finished at Wimbledon, I think on the 22nd of September, and flew to the States the following Monday, the 25th of September. So I went out there to play the 2 APP events, one in Atlanta and one in Dallas, which I kind of wanted to go out there just to kind of throw myself in the deep end, see how I got on, knowing that I hadn't practiced a lot, wasn't hugely fit, but kind of just to go out there and get a little bit more experience at that level. And yeah, I mean, they were 2 really great weeks. Both weeks I finished top 8 in singles, which I really had no expectation on any of the events. So to do that was amazing and kind of proved to myself, wow, I'm already at a really high level. And, you know, obviously the conditions are very different out there. It's very humid in both Atlanta and Dallas. And we actually played with the Dura. So again, a ball that we don't play with at all over here. So had definitely had to acclimatize kind of to the weather, to the different ball, to the different level. They obviously have different things, paddle testing, referees for each matches. Yeah. So, you know, it was just great to get that experience at that level. And then in women's doubles and mixed doubles, I won matches in the pro division across both of those, both weeks. Again, which was just, yeah, for me, kind of invaluable experience to get over there, see where the level is at, see kind of how my level compares. And yeah, again, kind of meet a lot of new players. I haven't been over to the States to play since before COVID. So just kind of put my name a little bit back out there and meet the players that are currently doing well and playing out there. And yeah, it was a really, really great experience. They start very early though at their tournaments. A couple of days in Atlanta, we started on court at 7:30 in the morning. So yeah.
Yeah, that is, yeah. I mean, I guess they've just got to just sort of fit it all in, aren't they, as much as they can. But yeah, well,
absolutely.
Congratulations on that as well. It's such a
Thank you.
It's epic to finish top 8 on both tournaments.
Thank you.
Amazing. So in terms of the your partners for the women's and mixed, was that randomly offered to you, or did you have to go and find somebody? How did that work?
Yeah, so basically with the APP events, you enter and you can either enter as a pair or you enter on your own and then you try and find a partner. So I entered on my own and I just kept looking at the lists of who had entered and contacting people who were on the list that looked like they didn't have partners. And it took a while because obviously I'm not very well known in the States. So I contacted some of the APP Next Gen players that had come over to the UK and they kind of help recommend some people. But yeah, it's just a little bit of trial and error, contacting people and hoping that you'll be a good fit. Well, hoping that someone will play with you and then hoping that you'll be a good fit. So yeah, I played with a girl called Rachel James both weeks actually in women's doubles. And we gelled really well and played really well. So that was amazing. And then the first week in mixed doubles, I played with Susanna Barr's son, Porter, who is a really great up and coming young player. I think he's 17. So he's just at the start of his pickleball journey, but it was great to play with him and get some practice in with Susanna. And then the second week I played with a great guy called Amrik Dong Kina, who again is a really great player, plays out of Minneapolis and yeah, has a background in tennis. So I hadn't actually met any of them before I got there. So yeah, all new partners, but again, really good experience to just play with some different people.
What was kind of different about the events that you kind of experienced before? I mean, you mentioned like referees, I guess, is kind of different having it on every match, but generally, obviously, they've been running them for a while now. I imagine they've got some stuff down. How did you find the events themselves?
Yeah, really good. I mean, I actually know, so Ken Herman, who obviously came over to English Open, was there running the events. And I have a really close friend, actually, Nicole, who is also part of the kind of operational team that runs the events. And they were really, really welcoming. Obviously, I had a few hiccups. Basically, over there, when you're on court, you get a text to say you're on this court now. And my number didn't work because it wasn't an American number. So they were all really helpful. Actually, Kyle Yates' mum, Julie, she is part of the APP referee team. And the first week, I literally just stood with Julie for most days just to wait for her to tell me when I was on. Right. But yeah, they have paddle testing. So that was something that I've never gone through before. So they test kind of the grit and the delamination of paddles. So my Pro XR paddles all passed with flying colours. So that was good. So that was something new. And again, just getting used to playing with a Dura because it's a lot harder than playing with a Franklin X40. And also once you've played with it a little bit in the heat, it gets very misshapen and just plays very differently. So one of my singles matches, I think in the first week, I think I was winning. And then the second set, I literally either tipped or completely missed the ball 5 times in a row because it suddenly started bouncing differently because they kind of egg. So, and they don't replace the balls unless they're cracked. So that was something else to kind of get used to, that the ball was going to
Ah,
change kind of during the match, and you had to kind of adapt your game to the ball that was bouncing differently. Um, the heat was tough, the humidity was tough. I know the first week for my singles, we started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I think I finished about 3 p.m. that day, but we went from playing in the morning in kind of cold, cloudy, grey conditions to about 1 o'clock. It was suddenly so humid and so hot, and it was like playing in two completely different climates. So yeah, just getting used to that. We had referees on all the matches, so yeah, the rules are very, you just kind of have to make sure that you're sticking to the rules. Coaching isn't allowed in any format. So I was obviously on my own, so I didn't have anyone coaching me, but a few of the people I played definitely had people trying to coach them, and the referee would kind of be like, if you're going to coach, you're going to be dock points. And even saying things like good cross court forehand is considered coaching. So you really can't say a lot over there. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of different things, but great tournaments. They look after all of the players really well. If you're playing in the pro events, you kind of have a separate area where they kind of give you an area to kind of stretch, give you lunch, give you snacks and stuff. So that's really good, as a pro player, to be able to have access to that. And yeah, both events were amazing. The first week in Atlanta, the venue had about 14 courts. The second week in Dallas, I think the venue had 42 courts. So differences, the
wow.
first week it was really tough to kind of practice. We were jumping on and off between matches, but the second week we had a lot more access to courts to practice.
Okay. That's really interesting. Yeah, because especially with the coaching, I thought that was fine because you watch PPA or MLP, as soon as there's like a break of the timeout or between sets, the players are on their phones, like looking at some text they've
Yeah.
got, which is clearly coaching, right? I'm sure they're not texting their mum
Yeah.
or whatever at that time, but yeah, it's interesting.
It was interesting it's interesting you say that, actually, because I played um one lady both weeks actually in singles. I beat her both weeks, but she did really well in women's doubles, and at kind of timeouts she was texting, and I kind of said to a couple of people, was she like, who was she texting? And they were like, oh, she would have been texting like for coaching. So you can coach at timeouts, but you just can't coach during play. And there is a lot of kind of people trying to coach during the play, which obviously in the UK and Europe, I mean, it's not policed really. Like you can kind of say a bit more, even if it's, good shot is, I feel like, on the barrier of, is that coaching or not in the States? So yeah, just kind of have to be a lot more careful.
Yeah. Okay. Um. So yeah, pickleball full time now. What does it look like then now? A typical week for you?
So I have started out with obviously my physical and on court practice. So I've got into a really good routine the last 2 weeks with working out daily. I am a member of an F45 gym, which is something in and around London, which is kind of like a cross training, which I love. So I've been regularly doing that, which has just got me into a really good routine. Just in the process of kind of setting up my kind of practices day to day. So again, that's something I'm kind of really looking forward to, just getting able to have more hours on court and practice, because I've just never really been able to do that. And then everything else around that. So coaching and clinics, I have a lot of those booked out kind of until February. And then individual lessons, and then a lot of different projects at the moment that I'm kind of involved in, within the pickleball space, which are different things that hopefully will come to fruition next year.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So a lot of mentoring. How much time do you spend in doing the coaching and the mentoring and that kind of thing?
It's quite a lot of hours, I think. I obviously do the on-court coaching, and then, as you mentioned, mentoring. I am actually going to start kind of working with some players, mentoring them. So doing the on-court side of things, but then also, the off-court side of things, and kind of helping them to improve kind of holistically as a player. And then there's a lot of kind of day-to-day questions that I get or advice that I get asked just from different players. So that's something that's really important to me. And, I always want to try and help as many people as I can. So I feel like I'm always on my phone. If I'm not on court, I'm always on my phone, kind of, yeah, trying to help people. I'm involved in helping to organise the tournament next week in Alton in Hampshire, the Peak Leagues event. So myself and James have been helping Philippe and his team organise that, from kind of, getting players on board, helping to advertise, work out logistics for that. So that's something that, again, is imminently coming up. So yeah, but I really enjoy it. I think it's great for me to kind of meet as many people and help as many people within the pickleball community as I can. And I think, kind of show people that I might be one of the better players, but I go through the same things as they do, and kind of trying to give people confidence and explain to people, hey, like, I go through this too, like, I get it. Let me kind of try and talk to you, and let me use my experience to kind of try and help you. So that's something that's really kind of valuable to me.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So you've been playing pickleball for a few years now. So from your perspective, pickleball's grown a lot, like, in that time, right? I mean, how's that look from your perspective?
Yeah, I think since I started playing pickleball in 2018, I think the growth in this country has been huge. I started back then playing with a jug ball a lot on inside kind of badminton courts. And, now I think I'm lucky in that I get to train a lot more on a proper hard court surface with a Franklin ball, and the level has improved so much since I first started. And I've been so lucky kind of along the way to have people mentoring me and people helping me develop my game. I think there's a lot more people playing pickleball now than there were. I think there's a lot more awareness of pickleball. When I first started, no one had heard of pickleball, whereas now I talk to different people in different spaces and they're like, oh, I've heard of pickleball, or, oh, I've played pickleball, I've seen pickleball on this. And I think the awareness in the media, on social media, whether it be newspaper articles, TV, podcasts, I think there's a lot more people talking about pickleball now. Obviously, the growth in the States over the last 5 years has also been massive. So that's helped because there's a lot more celebrities playing the game. It's in the news a lot more over there. So it's also kind of by default in our news a lot more. But I think even in the last 6 months, the growth and the amount of people that are now kind of wanting to invest in the game, invest in facilities, and see the potential that pickleball has, for so many different things, for, social benefits, health benefits, mental health benefits. I think people are really kind of getting on board. And yeah, for me, it's great to see. And I've had some unbelievable opportunities over the past couple of years that I would have never got to have in anything in life, and played pickleball with people like Jamie Foxx, Tim Henman, Evan Lendl. I would never have got to mix with those people probably, but pickleball really does bring people and so many different opportunities together.
Yeah. No, that's yeah. Well, that's fantastic. And yeah, I mean, I haven't heard people talking about the jugs balls, and with this, obviously nobody really uses them anymore, but everyone talks to them sort of. I can't think of the right word, but like, nostalgically, I guess is like the right word, with the jugs balls with the thing.
I think, there are some people that still use them. And I think, especially if you play on indoor kind of wooden floors, and definitely to get people started in the game, because they're a much slower ball. So it's much easier to start with them. And, I think they still have a time and a place. But I think for the development of kind of high level pickleball in the UK and Europe, we've really got to try and keep up with what they're doing in the States. Obviously, we are using the Franklin X40, which is a brilliant ball. And I think, it's just trying to encourage tournaments. Hey, let's play on a hard court surface where we can use this ball, because you really can do a lot more with that ball. And I think it improves your skills quicker playing with a harder ball than it does playing with a softer ball like a jug.
I I mean, even at my level, just knowing and playing it with a hard ball on a hard court, it's just a different game to in a gym with a soft ball.
Yeah.
It's just not as good. It's just isn't.
Yeah.
I cannot wait till we have more. Well, that's just the default. I mean, just to think, there's people in the US that have never played on a gymnasium. In fact, most people haven't. You know, they've only had it good all the time because of the growth of the support. You know, and there's so many courts now.
Exactly. And obviously, you know, it's easier for them to build courts. They have a lot more space than us, and their land is a lot cheaper. So it is a lot easier. But it isn't, you know, having been out to the States a few times and have a lot of friends out there, it isn't. I think we kind of look at the States and we're like, oh my goodness, pickleball is perfect over there. But there's still, you know, I played in Atlanta and we were trying to find somewhere to practice outside of the tournament, and there aren't loads of places to play. There was kind of a public park where the courts are always rammed, so it's really difficult to get on. Or we actually ended up playing at an amazing indoor venue called Ace Pickleball Club, with, I don't know, 20 odd indoor purpose-built courts. But again, membership fees for that are, you know, $150 a month. So, you know, it's not, there are certain places. Wichita, for example, has many outdoor park courts, you know, great surface, and they're all free. So it just depends on where you are. But yeah, there are some people that are still playing, you know, on indoor gym floors, especially places further north where it's colder and they don't get that many months of sun. But yeah, I think, you know, at the end of the day, whatever you're playing on, as long as you enjoy it, I think that's the main thing. And pickleball is so diverse in that you can play on different surfaces with different balls, and yeah, you just got to find what kind of you enjoy, and hopefully over the next couple of years we will see more investment in facilities in the UK and more purpose-built courts.
Yeah, I definitely think that's coming. In Seattle, I have a friend who's in Seattle, and I persuaded him to start playing pickleball, and he did, because I met him in Arizona, and we had a trip to Arizona. And yeah, he struggled to find courts, you know, even in Seattle.
Yeah.
So he went to he goes to 4 or 5 places before he finds somewhere. And then, you know, he finds somewhere where the asphalt's all kind of wrecked and the lines are barely visible.
Yeah.
And actually find somewhere to play, you know. But it's yeah, you're right. It's not perfect. And they can't build them fast enough at the moment. I mean, I don't know if you've seen
exactly.
the company Pickler. They're a franchise of things. And I think they've got over 100 already planned facilities.
Yeah.
and they're going to do more. I think they want 300 by 2025 or something, franchises. So
yeah,
they just can't build them fast enough, really.
Exactly.
It's going to be a different world in a few years' time when every city's got pickleball courts and, you know, taking over.
Exactly. That's what we hope.
Yeah. Well, at least for now. I mean, at least for now they'll be in use as well, unlike, you know, tennis courts and things like that where you just see them half the time.
Exactly.
Okay, so looking forward then, what do you see for pickleball in the UK or even globally in the next 12, 24 months?
I think we will see a lot more investment in facilities. We will see a lot more people knowing what the sport is. I think it will become, you know, a sport that most people are aware of. Whether that be at the highest level or whether that be something that people just go down to their local leisure centre and play, which for me is really exciting just because of the benefits that it has of, you know, getting you out of the house, getting you active, getting you into groups of friends, getting you to be social. I think we will, in the States, there's obviously a lot of investment in pickleball at the highest levels, the pro levels. There's a lot of money being injected into the sport. We recently had the PPA and MLP offering players contracts so they can play pickleball full time without having to worry about having a full-time job, which is great, you know, allowing players to move into the space full time. I think that will probably keep expanding. I know they're doing something similar in Australia, and I think that will probably expand throughout the world. And, you know, the more people that start playing, the more tennis players you're going to get moving over, the level's just going to get higher and higher. And I think because pickleball is so new, I think there's so many opportunities to do so many different things. MLP is a completely different format to a usual tournament, which is great to have the two living side by side. And there's not to say that there won't be other new formats that come in. And yeah, I think it's just such a great thing to bring people together. So I just really hope that it continues to grow and continues to get people active and having fun.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're right. I hope that all happens. That'd be fantastic. So in terms of events, what does your calendar look like? What events? You mentioned you got the Peak Leagues event coming up in the next couple of weeks. What else have you got in the calendar?
So I've got the Peak Leagues event next weekend, and then in December I've got a tournament in Sweden in a place called Inköping, which they've got a purpose-built pickleball venue with 3 indoor pickleball courts, which we played last year. So I'm going out there. Then we have the tournament at Rafa Nadal's Academy, which is really exciting. Also in December, I think it's great for such an iconic kind of tennis academy to be investing in pickleball, to be wanting to, build pickleball courts and host events. So again, that'll be something really fun. We have our last Premier Pickleball League tie of the year in December in Cambridge. So again, that's another team event that I've been a part of this year that Ed has kind of dreamed up and put together. And for me, that's been a great event. I picked my team based on, people I saw had potential, and to see the improvement that they've had over the year and over I think we've had 3 ties that we've had so far has been really special. So really looking forward to that next tie. And then going into next year, just starting to look at the calendar, when I go out to the States and play. I think I'm in India in February, which a group of us are really keen to go over and play. And different events. I think there will be the Dutch Open again next year, obviously English Open, English Nationals, French Open. And year by year, more events, especially in Europe, are added to the calendar. So for me, it's just kind of looking at what's there and, what fits with my schedule and which events I believe are trying to do the right things for pickleball. Those are the ones that I will really try and invest in and travel to and play.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I'm doing the Mediterranean Open as well, so I can't wait for that at the Rafa Nadal Academy. That's going to be great. I mean, that facility is going to be epic, and I think if we have time, I might try some paddle out there because they've got some paddle courts as well, and that'd be excellent.
Yeah, so my cousin was actually at the academy. He was at the tennis academy for a few years, so I have been out there previously. And it's a really great facility, and Mallorca's a beautiful island. So yeah, I think it will be a really fun event. I think Luis, who's organizing the tournament, who I know you've interviewed, has a lot of other things kind of planned for the players off court. So yeah, I think it'll be a really exciting event to be a part of.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, I think we'll kind of wrap it up there, Thaddea. Is there anything else that I should have asked you that I didn't that you'd like to share?
No, I think that's all good.
Okay. In that case, if people want to follow your adventures and what you're up to, where's the best place for them to go?
They can go to Facebook. So I'm just on Facebook under Thaddea Lock, or my Instagram account, which is Thaddea23. Those are the 2 places at the moment where you can probably keep most up to date with everything that I'm doing.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for taking the time again today, Thaddea. I really enjoyed it. It's been really fun. You're really fun to speak to, and it's been a great chat. So thanks once again.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for leading us to victory at Nationals in the team event.
I think I can put that on you guys safely. And, very nice
we're a team.
I did bring bananas, so maybe it's the bananas. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks once again, and good luck into the rest of this year and next.
Thank you.